Water?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. Hi there, folks. So here we are.
Here we are. Here we are. We're still alive. Nobody blew us up yet. So, hey, the world is still working.
We're a little bit late because of circumstances, and I didn't know what to talk about today, but I kept on seeing all the stuff about those drones and stuff. So I figured we'd talk about drones and weather balloons.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, the drone thing. My wife has been talking about the drone thing like forever. So what are you hearing about it?
On both sides. Some people say it's just regular stuff, and some people say that it's aliens, and some people think that it's the government and they're not telling us anything, and some people think that people should be wearing tinfoil hats. And
well, nobody's claiming it.
I just realized I don't have a microphone on.
Oh yeah, you don't have your microphone on. That's no good.
Did you hear what I said? Because it was really important. There we go.
Yeah, drones. Drones. Say it again about the drones.
We're talking about the drones.
Yeah, because everybody's talking about the drones. We were wondering.
We don't know if it's a conspiracy
what
thing,
everybody
or
else
if
is
it's
thinking
just
about it.
people going crazy, or
Yeah, I wish there was a way to call my wife and get her on this conversation.
no, we don't need her on.
Yeah, that'd be a funny one because she is so into this whole drone thing. I'm going to let her know we're talking about the drones. Watch this. We're talking about drones.
These are not the drones you're looking for.
Right. So she'll pop up on my feed, watch, in just like a minute because she's been so into the whole drone conspiracy thing that's been going on. And the funny thing is that the U.S. government is saying we don't know what they are. We know that they don't belong to a foreign entity. But they're clearly drones. They're not an alien thing. It's clearly drones. It's technology that we have. This is not, it's not beyond that. I mean, there's those weird plasma orb things. But honestly, like if you look at some of the technology that was patented about 20 years ago, we actually have flyer technology where it puts off like a heavy amount of light. So it looks like a little orb of light. And then they put off a high heat signature as well. So those were there on purpose to confuse people. And that's actually what they were designed for. So the patent departments actually say we have that tech as well. So I don't think it has anything to do with that. And the military's not going to say if they even know what it is. I mean, they're going to tell the American public, oh yeah, we don't know what it is. So, I mean, that's just the way it is. If they're running some kind of secret op, that's the way it's going to work. And these are clearly military drones because of the size of a car.
So they say, but then they're saying that some people don't know how big they are because they're saying that they're regular aircraft, so they're jetliners. Some people don't know what they are.
Yeah, I've seen some pretty close-up videos of these things, and they're definitely drones. They look like a quadcopter.
Well, whatever happened with that weather balloon?
Which one?
The Chinese weather balloon that flew over the United States and they shot it down.
Yeah, that was like, what, a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah, and Biden didn't do nothing about it until it got over already, so it got captured its data. Everybody's thinking that that's some kind of Chinese spy balloon or something.
Oh yeah, totally. I agree with that, but you know, I have a lot of unpopular opinions about that one. I personally, personally, this is just my personal opinion. I know a lot of people are going to get pissed off about this, but I think
so what?
I think that Biden is bought and paid for by the Chinese. I really do. I've been, you know, the Chinese. I mean, seriously, anybody who's my age or a little bit older, but not too much older, really thinks that the Chinese is actually one of the bigger threats that we have in the world right now to our way of life, because they literally are anti everything that we stand for.
Well, that's a little off topic of our drone thing, but I'm in agreement. It's just kind of weird that all that stuff happened with the Wuhan thing and Fauci and Hunter and Ukraine and Biden, and it's all weird coincidental stuff.
Right.
That yeah, kind of makes sense. Seems like they're just all bought and paid for.
Oh yeah, all of that stuff, and it's all tied back to China. And I think we're having a pretty major crisis in our country of these bad actors who are basically getting a ridiculous amount of funding from Chinese government.
They could have got all those drones might be Chinese drones.
Well, I don't think so. I think that they're denying the fact that they exist. I've seen Chinese drones versus our drones. They actually do look significantly different. So these do look like our drones. In fact, there was a guy who went on TikTok that actually said, yeah, those look like the drones that my company makes. And he works for a drone company that builds drones for the military.
Well, they all look basically the same. Aren't they usually quadcopter kind of things?
No, there's a couple of them that look more like planes. They take off more like a plane.
Oh, yeah. But that's not what these are. These things are
quadcopters.
These are going, yeah. So that's why I said that.
Yeah, these ones are quadcopters, but no, they don't all look like quadcopters. The quadcopter drones are the most common style that you see, but they're usually not this size, and they don't usually send out a bunch of them only at night. I mean, these things are not showing up in the daytime very much. They're all pretty much showing up at nighttime. Well, why would they be going out at night? So the guy who builds these drones, he's not the guy who builds the drones, but he's the CEO of the company. He went on TikTok and he was talking about it, and he pointed to this controversy that's been happening over missing Ukrainian nuke. So there is a nuclear weapon, and he's like, he was talking about it. He's like, yeah, so part of all of this kind of stuff, there's this whole idea that this Ukrainian nuke, whenever it got taken and the people had eyes on it, they saw it, they know it existed. It was one of the old, my understanding, it's one of the old Soviet era nuclear weapons. This nuke that was supposed to be decommissioned, and yet there it was, disappeared. And the story goes is that some terrorist organization got a hold of it, and that it might have made its way towards the United States. And he thinks that these drones are all going out at night, because he's like, I build, my company builds these drones, and we build them with this kind of technology. It would make sense. You send them out with, UV type technology. You send them out with the heat signature type technology, and you send them out with a God, what do they call that? The scanners that detect all the rads, right? Just trying to think of what the freaking name of the scanner is, but basically that it's looking for radioactivity, and that is the whole entire point why they're putting them out at night, is because it's easier to detect at night.
Okay, that's another.
And they even see them
theory.
spraying things in the air, and there's stuff that they can spray in the air that actually helps detect nuclear presence.
So that stuff's all weird too. I don't know how big a nuclear thing is, but usually don't they check that stuff at customs and things? Sometimes you can't even get fruit across the border.
I mean, seriously, we have the largest border to control than almost any other country. We have, and most of it is ocean. So it's huge. It's like this giant, massive border that we have to patrol. We do a crappy job. I mean, seriously, look how many things and people get smuggled in from Mexico. Look how many things and people get smuggled in from Canada. We can't stop shit from coming into this country. We can't. We're terrible at it. I mean, say what you will about the idea about the border fence that was going up, and there are pros and cons that can be discussed and all kinds of political crap, and because it was Trump, people may get pissed off, but seriously, you talk about that all that you want. Even if it went up, us being able to stop things from coming into this country very well, it doesn't matter. We're not going to stop very much from getting into this country. We can't stop things from coming in, and we can't really stop things from coming out.
I don't know that any of that stuff
They
really
can't
matters
stop it from
much.
coming into a prison. You can't stop illegal goods from getting into prisons. How are they going to stop something from getting
I know,
into a
but I don't
country?
think it's going to work. I don't think it's going to work that way. I think it's more of a psychological thing, and they've done a good job of that. Everybody's all afraid of the COVID stuff. And then if they want, they could just shut off the electricity and we'd be dead in the water.
I don't know. I don't know what to think. All I know about that, I just know that I just know what my wife has been telling me about the whole drone thing. I've been ignoring it. I've been like, whatever. I don't really care. Here's the thing. Everybody's talking about aliens right now. The US government's been talking about aliens. We've been moving towards a disclosure. We're clearly getting up for either a false, hey, look, we've made contact with aliens thing, or a real, hey, we've made contact for aliens thing, right? I have no idea. They can fake anything now if they wanted to. It doesn't matter. They can literally go up in the sky with drones, with special developed drones. They can go in the sky with it, and they can like project things and make you think you're seeing things. They have technology right now that is totally capable of getting into your dreams. And before anybody goes, oh, that's stupid conspiracy theory, fucking MIT is the one who spilled the beans on it. It's MIT. You go to MIT's website and it's talking about this. This is not crazy technology. And it was McDonald's that has the technology on it. They want to do advertising in people's dreams. So we have so much technology that's out there right now that can literally dupe you, that you have no idea what's real. So the whole entire thing with the drones and the aliens and all kinds of stuff like that, I'm just kind of like, at this point, I don't care. I don't care. There's so much bizarre shit going on in the world right now. I just don't care anymore.
It gets to be to that point, like, what are you going to do about it anyways? You know?
Right. I mean, seriously, if an alien wants to show up and drop on my doorstep and be like,
take me to your
we
leader.
come in peace. We have 3 fingers. We come in peace. Hello. Hi.
So take me
You want to come up in our spaceship? I'd be like, yeah, sure. That sounds like fun.
And
At least then I'd know.
And they say, take me to your leader. And you go, you know what? I don't know who that is.
Right. Do you mean the leader who we think might be the leader, or are you talking about, like, you know, are we talking about the person who runs the CIA, or are we talking about like the shadow group that is supposed to exist that runs everything, or what are we talking about as far as the leader goes here?
I don't know. We're so detached from reality these days.
We are.
That you don't know what is real.
Right.
It's like the Matrix kind of stuff.
And it's comical that this is a dude who specializes in psychedelics that's talking about you don't know what's real of talking about regular reality.
Now we know why you think the way you think.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny when you think about how odd the world is right now and how bizarre everything is. Like, it's a really weird thing to think about.
It is. There's common sense kind of things, the whole male, female, XXXY thing. And then there's all the stuff that you see on the internet and you don't know if it was real.
Right.
It was computer generated somehow.
But the technology being released right now and the discoveries being made and all that kind of stuff, that's pretty fascinating. I like following that. I just wish that as I was watching all of that, as I was trying to follow all of that, I really wish that there was a way that I could actually keep a database on a lot of it. Because for one thing, a lot of this technology like that comes out within days sometimes gets pulled. So there was this announcement like 6 years back, right? No, it was a little bit longer than that. They actually finally discovered a material that can bend light. They were like, oh, it's a partially invisible material, but it was only able to do that on non-visible spectrum area. So that didn't really help with the invisibility thing, but it's the first time that they were ever able to make something where it could circumvent the material in a way that it could appear invisible. So as soon as I came out, it was like, oh, well, that's the beginning. Like within like 3 years, they're going to have invisibility technology, because once you have like even just a minor amounts of, understanding of a technology, you can kind of go wild with it. And so I was like, okay, that's definitely it. Within 3 days, it was gone, scrubbed from the internet. I couldn't find anything on it anymore. I was like, oh, this is weird. I was just trying to tell somebody about it. There was another technology that was out back in, this is like mid 2000s. It was the same thing. They were talking about regrowing teeth. It's you take this thing, and it was a guy in Canada who developed it. He actually was a dentist. It was on the East Coast, and he was talking. I think he did all of the dental for the Expos, the team. Anyways, yeah. So I think. I don't remember because it's been a long time since I've seen it. I'm remembering back, like 20 years now. And all of a sudden, like he was talking about it. He was showing the technology. He goes, oh yeah, within 10 years, we're going to be able to have this, and nobody's going to have to worry about it having missing teeth or anything like that anymore. It's going to get approved. He's like, it's working wonders. Look at my studies on it. Boom, gone. It disappeared like overnight. Within like a couple of weeks, it was scrubbed from the internet. It was gone. I couldn't even find any articles on it. And it's funny because I kept telling people about that. Everybody's like, oh, come on. There's no way that happened. And then one of my favorite dudes to watch, I've mentioned him like several times on here, is Museum of Tarot. Like, he's a really fun guy to watch. He actually had a clip of it. That he had saved on his computer. And so he played a clip of it showing that it actually existed. I'm like, that's the story that I watched. And like, I pointed people to it, and yeah. So it happens. It happens so much that things just get scrubbed whenever they're interesting. So I have no idea if what I'm reading is like a plant, or whether it's like going to disappear from the internet like 5 minutes from now, and then I'm not even going to be able to talk about it anymore, because then people are going to be like, you're a conspiracy nut. Like, it's so ridiculous. But that's what I'm enjoying right now, is reading all of this crazy technology that's coming out right now, and the discoveries, like the wormhole that they just discovered, and there's like this there's a tunnel that happens in this plasma sphere outside of our solar system. It's just outside of our solar system that allows us to get access from one point of the galaxy to another.
So how do you know all that stuff
really
is a real deal just because you read about it?
I don't know any of it, but that's the stuff that's interesting. It's the stuff that's interesting because there's certain of the technology that's coming out, such as space-time crystals. Sounds crazy, right?
It does.
Space-time crystals.
It sounds like something at a toy store.
This is a good one. So I was reading about it today. So space-time crystals, there was a really awesome thing where I was talking, I was looking at quantum computing and space-time crystals. They have these little crystals that are capable of detecting like when certain things are happening with the quantum field. So that way these computers, they work better, right? And I'm giving you just a general, just kind of concept of it. It's far more complex than that, and I might even be getting some of it a little bit off. But you want to look it up. The articles are out there right now.
Maybe.
They might be gone. They might be gone already. But the space-time crystals were really fascinating. They were talking about how they're developing new applications for them. They might be able to create fourth-dimensional space-time crystals within the next 5 years, they said. Like, that's massive. That is huge, and it is part of the same. It's part of the same.
Elaborate on
studies
what
and
space-time
people.
crystals are. Is that like dilithium crystals that Star Trek uses to power their ship? What are space-time crystals? Has it got to do with space?
It has to do with quantum computers.
Quantum computers.
It's quantum computing. It's specifically
So
they
it's
utilize them in quantum computing, but we don't even know what the application to them is yet.
Replacement for a chip.
I think it replaces pieces of the whole board. Like, I mean, it doesn't replace like a processor. So it's not going to replace the actual processor. You still have to have the processor, but I'm pretty sure it's like going to replace like various different portions of it, like an L2 cache, things like that.
So is it going from silicone
And it
to
stores data.
from silica to crystals? Maybe.
Well, that is, yeah. Crystals is one of the things that they're utilizing for computers now. But there's a whole bunch of different things. Pretty soon they're going to be using what do they call it? A dipolar. Jeez, I can't even remember what the name of it is. It uses some. It's a complex name. They're not going to be using. So they're talking about using these. You know, because right now we use silicon wafers, and then we have little tiny bits of metal through it where the electrons can flow, right? And that's kind of how we do it, right? Mm-hmm. Well, it's dipolar magnetism. That is what it is.
Dipolar magnetism.
Yeah, it's dipolar magnetism. Yeah, and that's the new thing they're talking about powering everything, and it's going to reduce the amounts of electrical consumption and everything that we use. And they've just announced this in the last couple of weeks that they've discovered this, and it's going to reduce how much we use by 80%.
Who's they?
The people who were part of the study, like Google and everything else. They were showing based on the data. The scientists,
Silicon Valley
scientists that were working on it. They're the ones. No, it's a university. It was a university that worked on it, that found it, and they look at it and they're going like, oh, like this is revolutionary. It's going to change everything. So that's the reason why I like reading this stuff, is because like I'm looking at how quickly our lives are going to change in the next like 5 to 10 years, and it's shocking. I mean, yes, it changes quickly anyways, but I'm just talking about in technological, you know, the kind of technological sphere that we're in right now. We're having another accelerate forward like we did right around the 96 to 2004 timeframe. Like we were like so accelerating forward. Like people didn't even know how to do it. We still don't even know how to fully utilize the technology other than through cryptographics and stuff like that we developed back in the early 2000s. Like, I mean, they say gaming comes close, but it's only because it's also incredibly inefficient. There's like so many different things that you can do about it, but we can barely utilize all that technology. It's the reason why it's kind of stagnating a little bit.
Yeah, well, humans can't move is that fast, especially now with the AI stuff. You can generate, like I did for this thing. I just did it in 15 seconds. I had a description,
right,
where it could have took me a day.
So we develop a lot of hardware, right? We develop a lot of new technology and a lot of hardware, and then we develop a lot of new ways to utilize that hardware and how to build that hardware better, right? Then we go through a phase of building a bunch of new hardware again, and then again through another phase of learning to use all of that. Well, we're about to enter into another time frame where we're building the new building blocks again. Mm-hmm. And personally, I think we're actually entering into another time frame like, you know, the 1910 to 1920 time frame, where it completely upended everything we thought we knew about the universe and rewrote it all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think people are going to end up not talking to each other. They're just going to understand each other.
That was another fascinating thing I was watching. So there's this study that was being done. There was this study that was being done on nonverbal autism. And they were studying these phenomena that happen with nonverbal autism. And what they found is that when they're doing all this testing and everything, they're actually reading people's minds. Like actually doing it. Mm-hmm. Not like, oh, hey, we're going to test you. And then you're testing in like the 65 to 70 percentile, which is what they used to do back in the 1970s, whenever they were originally trying to study some of the stuff about, you know, psychic phenomenon. Yeah. And they would get like a 65 to 70% hit. And they'd be like, oh, that's statistically significant.
like
these
the ESP
kids,
cards.
these kids are getting like 95% to 100% accuracy rate. That's freaking insane.
That's kind of what I mean. It's getting to be to a point where you just have a feeling. You don't have it's not a logical thing anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And so they were putting people in 2 different rooms because sometimes this is what the lady was saying who was, she had a podcast where she was talking about this. She was saying that sometimes an autistic kid can read one person that they've attached to. They can read one person's mind. But what they were saying is that actually some of them, the more fascinating ones, it's everyone. So they would put them in different rooms and they would do the whole thing of the reading the cues and the cards and the colors and all that kind of stuff. But there was one gal in particular, all of them were like 90+%. But there was one particular gal that was at 100% every single time, and it didn't matter who was on the other end. And yeah, they were totally fascinated by it. But she was considered a savant before that. Like people thought that she was a savant, and then the person who takes care, I don't know if it was the mom or the person who takes care of her on a regular basis, though, said, no, I think she's just reading our minds. That's how she knows how to do all this stuff.
Well, it's like I'm getting more in touch with our dog. He's communicating better when I know what he needs.
Yeah.
And that's kind of weird. I'm not talking to the dog, but I can tell what the dog asking for.
I do that with my kids.
That's kind of what I mean.
I have a really weird ability to tell what my kids want and need.
That's what I mean. That's kind of what's happening with this stuff nowadays. You don't have to read something to understand what they're trying to say. You just kind of get it.
Sometimes. Yeah, with my kids though, like because my son, he's not verbal yet. You know, he's 1. He's like, I think today was the first time he actually clearly said the phrase, I want mama. And it's mama is pretty much mama, dad. That's pretty much the only 2 words he really says. Everything else is non-intelligible, meaning you can't understand it, right? So like, but I can tell you just based off of like the time of day, the mood that he has, the emotions that are going on with him, you know, a gesture, a sound, the pitch of the sound, the tenor of it, everything else. I can tell you what he's looking for. I can tell you what he wants. And I'm right probably 90% of the time. And it's not that he can use the words to tell me, but I just know what he needs. And a lot of times it's not anything that I normally provide.
I think people in general are not necessarily a family, but people in general are just going to see somebody at church or at the grocery store, and you can just kind of tell what's going on.
Oh yeah, the human ability to be able to read other people is phenomenally amazing. And I think now that we've gone through this whole period of detachment, where we're going through this massive period of forced detachment, basically, and we've, you know, after COVID and everything else, I think suddenly we're all starting to develop, you know, this emotional attachment again. And what we're finding out is that what we were getting as far as communication from the emotional side of things and this non-verbal component of things is far more powerful than we ever even thought. I think a lot of people are starting to discover that. I know I am.
That's what I think is kind of starting to happen now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'd love to see where it's going. I don't know what they're going to do in that market. I mean, this isn't even technology. This is just studying basic humans. I mean, the technology aspect of it is like mind-blowing and it's super fascinating. And I love watching all that kind of stuff.
It's kind of interesting in that are we actually understanding each other, or are we understanding what the psychological government is trying to get us to think?
There's a lot of that going on too. There's a lot of that going on too.
I know.
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre. There is a ton of people out there that pretty much buy what they're being sold hook, line, and sinker. But the funny thing is that we're all being sold different things. and all of us consume information in a different way. So like you end up with people who pretty much they do the same things every day. They hang out with the same people. They come from the same area, and yet they think radically different. And it's not because of upbringing or family or environment or any of these things, or even just genetics, right? It's literally the propaganda that they get fed.
An example is we've got a bottle of Dawn dishwashing liquid on the kitchen sink.
Sure.
And Monica likes it because it takes the oil off of ducks.
It is one of the best degreasers there is.
Well, this specific bottle is 4X.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
It's 4 times concentration.
Like that's what it seems like, but I don't know that it's 4 times.
It's supposed to be like I think it's like 1 teaspoon to an entire.
You could clean 4 ducks.
Yeah, there you go. I think it's like 1 teaspoon to an entire
gallon
tub.
Yeah,
So like whenever you're doing dishes, wash basin. There you go.
I don't know how concentrated can you get. So or is that just
get to the point where it's 1 drop? Bloop.
Or is it something they just put on there because people are going to read it and go, "Oh my God, it's 4 times power." And they just pick it up and buy it.
Probably.
Yeah, because it's not illegal to put 4X on your label.
That's correct. I mean, I'd have to read it to see if there was anything else in there that indicated anything.
Yeah, it just says 4X.
I was gonna try to kick my leg up, but I don't know if I can do that right now. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't want you breaking open here.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, I was having a hard time working this weekend, man. It's so funny. You know, like you get these procedures done and like just, you know, the internet doesn't really care, but I will say it anyways, just because it might be funny and somebody might do a clip on it. Yeah, it was hilarious. So like, you know, I got a vasectomy done because, you know, between my wife and I, we have 7 children. And she was like, I don't want to give birth to any more children now. I'm kind of done. The portal's closed. That's how she puts it. She's like, you know, for a while there, she's like, I feel like in this lifetime, I've just been a portal letting other people come through into this world. So she's like, okay, the portal is closed now. And said, especially after, you know, Alexander got stuck on the way out, it was funny. She feels like, oh yeah, he just barely made it through that portal before it closed. Is how she was commenting on it. So anyway, so I went in and I got the vasectomy done. And after the vasectomy was all done, and I called my wife and I said, and on my way to the car, and I go and I sit in the car, and of course I'm still numb, so it's not like I'm not in a lot of pain. I'm still walking funny at this point because I have a giant ice pack there. But I get inside the car and I sit down and I call my wife and I'm like, oh yeah, deed's done. And she goes, oh yeah, how was it? What am I supposed to say to that, right? So, of course, I'm a smart ass. So what I say back is, well, I guess it's not so bad if you're into ball torture.
Ball torture?
And she starts laughing. Oh, it is not comfortable. It is not comfortable. I mean, they numb the site, right? They numb the site. But you're awake. You're laying there. And there's a thing covering you. And anybody who doesn't like, you know, any of this can totally turn it off. I promise you, it's not graphic and it's not going to be about blood and guts.
Toughen up.
Though there is a little bit of talk about the ins and outs of something like this. But anyway, so they put the sheet down and then they like basically all you have is your sack hanging out and you have this whole thing covering you. And you get the little sack hanging out. And this gal is doing this, right, for me, and she's like setting up everything. And then you're laying there, and there's a bunch of sharp implements there.
Yikes. And
there's a light shining right down here. You're laying down, there's a big sheet over you. Just literally just a little tiny sack hanging out. It's like, and it's little at this point because it's like, you know, it's all shriveled. They just poured a bunch of cold stuff all over it. It goes, blip, and you're like, you know, and it pulls all up, and then it's just hanging out there. And that's all there is, just this thing hanging out there. And you're laying there for 10 minutes thinking about how stupid of an idea this is. Well, the doctor takes their time coming in. And then they come in and they numb the site. And it hurts. Like, I mean, it's uncomfortable. Getting a shot in general hurts, and this is in a bad area because it's sensitive. So, like, I mean, it hurts, especially whenever they have to, because they have to give you the shot in the vas deferens as well, so that way you don't have, because you have feeling there. So, so they give you the shot there as well. And while they shoot all that localized spot and everything else, once they get you cut open and they pull on the little vas deferens, it connects to your gut. It connects to your lower abdominal area. And any man who's ever been kicked in the balls knows that it's not the balls themselves is where the majority of the pain is. It's in the lower abdomen. That's the part that makes you feel like you might have to throw up.
Right.
Right? You, having been in martial arts, know this, I'm sure.
I've been kicked there before.
Yes, it is not butted. That is where you feel it. So, of course, it's all numbed up there. But as soon as they go and they pull on it at all, it goes whoop, and you have all the pain up in here. My toes curl up, my foot curls up. I'm like, not fun. It was not fun. So, after that was done, I was like, yeah, well, I mean, it's not comfortable. So of course, she's laughing her ass off because, I equated it to ball torture. And she's laughing her ass off. So later on that night, and I'm just like, every time that anybody asks me anything about it, I just kept wisecracking jokes the whole time, and they were good ones. So like the next time was my mom. So I call my mom and I'm telling my mom, I'm like, yep, so I got the vasectomy done today. And she goes, oh, great, how you feeling? I'm like, oh, yeah, I feel like I just taught a class on self-defense to small women. It was hilarious because she starts laughing. My wife's in the background giggling and laughing again. And apparently there's a whole bunch of jokes out there of people getting, they buy their husbands cream pies, like little cream puffs. And then they relabel them. They cover it all up and they relabel them unlimited cream pies. Okay, this is like,
what the hell are you talking about?
Pretty funny that they. So apparently, there's a lot of weird jokes that are out there, but I was telling my brother, I don't know of anybody else who's making the jokes about the actual procedure,
What are you gonna do now that it's over? No more jokes.
They live on, especially if my wife ends up doing stand-up comedy like she wants to do.
Sure, she can make fun of you.
She can make fun of me. Yeah.
She's serious
like,
about that? Oh my
God, he was such a big baby.
Is she serious about that? She wants to go do that?
She wants to take a class on improv, and then she's thinking about doing stand-up comedy, and she's actually pretty damn funny, so she would probably do well. She doesn't get to show that side of her very often, though.
When do we go?
Ask her. Like, she's the one who needs to be prodded a little bit right now. She's feeling very unmotivated because, the business isn't doing really well, and she's been struggling at that. Financially, things have been a little bit difficult, so she's struggling there. She's feeling like all of these struggles in various different areas of her life. And, I mean, the economy and all that kind of stuff doesn't help.
Relief.
So yeah, that's exactly it. And so she's like, she's feeling just very down right now and needs a little bit of a motivating kick in the pants, I think.
Well, sometimes Mondays are comedy nights.
Nice.
I'll look up some open mics. We can go to them.
Yeah, she would love that. And she would definitely love some friend time where friends want to just be around and just hang out with her too. There's been a lot going on with a lot of the people that we know too. And so, whenever she is hanging out with people, it's almost like she's having to be support for them. But really right now, like if any of my friends are seeing this, actually she's kind of the one who needs the support right now.
It's got to turn.
She will not tell you that, but she's kind of the one who needs the support right this moment.
Well, there's a lot of people that are going through with stuff like that. I don't have lots of friends, but some friends that I've been talking to, they're going through some stuff.
It's hard. It's hard right now. Everything changed with COVID, and I know that we're still talking about this fucking almost 5 years later, but it's retarded how badly that actually affected our world. And we're still recovering from that. The economy's never recovered.
Oh.
And it went back into the toilet even worse than that, you know, for this last year and a half. It's been really bad. And, you know, there are some people out there who believe the stupid statistics that are being make-believed, that are coming out saying like, oh yeah, look at all the job creation. The economy's not doing bad. You can't even talk about dollars spent. 40% increase. 40 freaking percent increase in how much food costs. So you can't talk about how many dollars are being spent because you're comparing apples to oranges.
And it's not fair when you look at how many jobs, because one person probably has 4 jobs.
Yes, there's that. Oh yeah, I got 3. So yeah, I mean, seriously, it's retarded how that is working right now. And not only that, but all the jobs being posted, because they talk about job creation. All those jobs being posted and everything else, they get kickbacks for those. They actually get tax breaks for having those out there. They get bigger tax breaks if they go unfilled.
Which is weird.
Yeah. So it's totally a thing for them to make it look like there's jobs that are out there to apply for that aren't even real.
I've always had that belief. You see all these jobs, and they're always hiring. Some people are always hiring. Like, what was it? Calhoun Realty always had ads in the Star Tribune with their logo on it. They always had jobs.
Right. So it's a thing in corporate America to basically falsely advertise for jobs. And it's not like that maybe they don't need the position. It's just like, oh, maybe we need the position in a year. But if they post it right then, they start getting the tax credit for it. And then it helps them in the long run. So it's just one of those things. And this idea that some people have said where like they're like, oh yeah, the economy is fine. Like, it's BS. It's not fine. Anybody who's living it knows that it's not fine. And you wouldn't have, like, I know some people who are fairly well off most of the time, and people who are financial planners that are fairly well off most of the time, that come from well off families even, who went whoosh with their pocketbook the last year and a half. And they're like, nope, I don't have the money to spend on anything right now. Well, I'll be fine, but I don't have the money to invest on anything right now. And it included things that normally are important to them. Like, we're talking about like things for business development, things for personal imaging, stuff like that, rebranding. So there was one particular client that was having to go through a need for a transition that they made. They needed to do a real serious rethink on their brands and how they're branding themselves. And yeah, they had to cancel the whole thing because they were like, yeah, I don't have the money to spend on, you know. And it's not like, you know, my wife and I, we don't charge an arm and a leg for what we do, the visual identity and design. It's, you know, normally you go to a normal branding outfit and that would probably cost like 15, 20 grand. We charge like 5. And people couldn't even afford that. They were like, nope, like.
It isn't even that they can't afford it. It's they don't dare.
They don't dare. And that is really it. Like, maybe they can afford it, but they don't dare.
Yeah, people are still stuck.
One of my jobs is that I do smashing burgers, right? And that's I was talking about this weekend, working this weekend. It was a little bit rough because I can't do anything right now because of the aforementioned thing. Yeah, I can't smash. I can't do the smashing of the burgers, so I had to have somebody else do it. Anyway, so yeah, it's $22 for a burger. Yes, it's a freaking good burger. Yes, it's not a normal burger. Still, 22 flipping bucks for a burger. $22. You want to have fries with that? You're looking at more around 26, 27.
And something to drink.
I don't even remember what the price is off the top of my head.
That's a little steep.
Yeah. So actually, I think I did just remember what the price is. But anyways, it's like 29 and change. if you want a burger and fries. And the fries is enough to share between two people, but it's still a burger and fries.
Yeah.
5 years ago, you know, let's say just prior to COVID, right? Because 5 years ago would be just prior to COVID. You go to Five Guys, go have a burger and fries, and you're golden. You're spending far less than that. You're not spending $30.
I used to spend $2.50 back
When
in the 70s.
oh, dude, when I was a kid, right? And I say kid, I wasn't really a kid at the time, but
Then don't say that.
I was a young man. I was working a job where I sold cell phones at the beginning of one of the early cell phone booms in the 90s. And it was nice. I made bank. I made ridiculous amounts of money, and I only had to work a weekend. And it was really cool. But this was how I did it. I was like, okay, so I have to sell this many phones in between now and noon. I haven't earned myself a lunch until I do that. If I earn that much, I will take a lunch. If I didn't earn that much, I am not giving up the time to be here to possibly make that sale. And that's just the way that I ran it. And then I would go and I'd buy a lunch from Subway, of all places. I spent less than $5 for a foot-long sub.
$5 footlongs.
It was a foot-long sub, a bag of chips, and a soda that was refillable as many times as I wanted. And it was less than $5. I think it was like $3.50. And I even got I think maybe mine was a little bit more. But fast forward now, you can't do that. You just can't.
No, things are expensive.
Yeah.
And people's cash flow is not flowing.
Right. But the amount of difference just in the last 4 years is phenomenal. The last 4 years, it's been like a 40% increase in food. Which is just outrageous, the amount that people have to spend on food right this minute.
Well, it's a lot of different things. The cost of preparing the food and processing the food and delivering the food, everything's gone.
Not to mention how many times in the last, 4 years, there's been massive recalls and they've dumped enough food to be able to, serve a small city like Minneapolis. We're talking about millions and millions of pounds. And then on top of that, there was the whole situation, this is just before COVID hit as well. They had that whole situation where people were upset because they shot hundreds of buffalo, because the herd was too big, and then left the meat there to rot. They didn't even take the carcasses. Seriously, if you're going to harvest it, harvest it. Just because it's a national park doesn't mean you shouldn't harvest it. Harvest it. Give it to meat packers, and then the meat packers can charge what they have to charge to run the meat packing facility. It's dumb to just let it go to waste.
Sometimes that stuff is dumb like that for a reason.
One buffalo could feed my entire neighborhood for a week with meat.
I know, but sometimes they do that stuff for that reason.
Right.
They the whole...
Right.
I wonder if the people that created the pandemic thing knew what kind of effect it would have.
Oh, I think I honestly do. I know it sounds conspiracy theorist and stuff like that, but I honestly do believe that it was a planned thing.
I know
there's too much evidence that it was planned.
I know, but the impact. Sometimes people don't think through the ripple effect that happens on things.
Yeah. Oh no, I think they did. That's what I'm saying. I really do. I think that they knew. I think that they planned for a lot of the other disasters to happen after that too.
The point I'm trying to get across is, do you think they knew 100% of all the things, or did they know most of it? But
I think that there is a major backlash that's happening. That's part of it. I don't think that they knew that the amount of suicides would go up. It's the way they did. But also there has been this major backlash that's happened that's been severe mistrust of all forms of government at this point.
Yeah.
So there's been a major mistrust there that's happened now. And secondarily, there's been a huge push to people reconnecting in old-fashioned ways. Like, I mean, we're talking about tribalistic society.
There is.
Like that kind of a connection coming back.
Yeah, people getting connected with people.
And I don't think they planned on that.
I noticed that with my marketing stuff, I don't get the opt-ins I used to get.
Yep.
People aren't doing it. They'll
Right.
make a phone call to someone and then connect with them. They're not going to do all this
Right.
Facebook Messenger and all that stuff. They're just not doing that shit.
A lot of people are wanting to meet in person, especially now that we know, like the average person now knows. I mean, the average person, there's a lot of people who don't still, but the average person now knows that if you meet somebody online, even if you're doing video chat or anything else, they can fake a voice, they can fake a face.
Mhm.
You don't even know if you're really meeting somebody. But if you go meet somebody in person, you shake their hands, there's a whole different thing there. It's a whole different vibe.
Sure, the idea of just actually being in the same room. Because again, there's all these filters and stuff where you can't trust who you're watching because they might put the green screen up, and they might not even be doing it maliciously. They just don't want to, like the girl don't want to put their makeup on, so they just put on a beauty filter.
Right. Yeah.
There's something weird there.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, there's so much that you can't trust about the average interaction that's not in person now.
You know, I went, a friend of mine, we went to a music conference thing. And then after she was hungry, so she wanted to go to Taco Bell of all places.
Taco Bell.
Taco Bell.
Make a run for the border.
So we went to Taco Bell and the order was taken by a robot.
Yeah, you were telling me about that.
I'd never experienced that before. It was
and it kept getting it wrong, you said.
Yeah, and you had to kind of start over, and then it says, "Is this what you want in your order?" I was going, "No."
Maybe it wanted
very frustrating.
Maybe it wanted you to tell it in Spanish.
That could have been.
I mean, it is Taco Bell after all.
That's racist.
No, it's in their advertising. Make a run for the border.
Yeah, it might be Canada.
No.
Canadian border.
No. That's funny. That is hilarious.
Might be Wisconsin.
It's in all their advertising. They wanted you to sound like the little Chihuahua dog. They wanted you to go, "Que quiero Taco Bell."
That's what's the name of that company? There's the headquarter company for Taco Bell.
I don't remember anymore.
I don't either.
Yeah.
It's like Mexicali or something like that.
Is it?
Something.
I don't remember. Yeah. I don't remember what that is. Taco Bell's good though. I actually do like Taco Bell. I mean,
I prefer Taco John's.
Taco John's is good. It's probably time and place that made me like Taco Bell though. Taco Bell was good. My favorite tacos though were all local. Like they were just local little companies. Like there was this place called Tacos Mexico. Oh, I loved that place. It was amazing. They're not even open anymore, but yeah, they just basically made what now people call street tacos.
Yeah.
They're little Mexican street tacos. But they were cheap. They were like $1 a piece. So we would go in there and like and that was for the lengua. $1 a piece. Normally it was a little more expensive. Then it went up to 50 cents. They had to double their prices.
There's a place in Excelsior. There's also one on Lindale, I believe, called Lago Taco.
Yeah, I've seen those.
That's very good.
Yeah.
They got this nice little stand that it comes out on, so they're all standing up, and very, very good.
There's a food truck taco place too. That's like not too far from me. I wish I could remember what it is. It's a big yellow truck.
Yeah, it's right down the
red
road.
Lettering.
There's a big yellow one down the road here.
Yeah, there is.
Like liquor store.
Yeah.
It's a taco truck.
That taco truck, it's tacos something or other. But yeah.
Of course it is.
It's really good. Yeah. It's really good. They have amazing churros. Oh my God. The churros that they have are just absolutely phenomenal. They fry the churro, and the outside is just like a normal churro, but then whenever you get onto the inside of it, there's this like gooey center, and they give you this dip with it. Oh my god, it's so good. I don't even know what they put on the inside. It tastes like.
Well, my friend Dan
super
Vargas
magnificent.
is going to be doing Taco Fest.
Oh yeah.
So look for that.
Oh, I would go.
It'll be happening. Taco Fest.
American tacos or tacos Mexicali?
All sorts of kind, because it's a taco festival. So it's going to have all sorts of tacos.
So probably mostly American tacos with some Mexican tacos thrown in.
I don't know.
We're the only ones who do tacos, though.
Hmm?
I said we're the only ones who do tacos. Tacos were invented in basically as we know it, as the way that we know it, in the El Norte region of the Southwest United States, which is basically, New Mexico, Arizona, Southern California.
Okay.
A little bit into Nevada, but I know we don't count Nevada.
They'll be authentic.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Or edible. What time we on? We're done?
No.
11:59.
All right, I guess we can be done.
11:59. Holy smokerellas.
We had a lot of people popping up on and off there, but nobody commented on anything, and everybody went away quick. So we must have been really boring today.
No, that's because that's the way people operate. They don't spend much time.
No.
They do a lot of swiping.
Yeah. People do a lot of swiping unless it catches their attention.
And then they might call. You never know.
The short attention span that people have now is very sad.
Short. Very short.
It's very difficult to deal with. You can't even have a full conversation.
And all
with
the
people sometimes.
like the video stuff, it's got shorts, and like TikToks, it's got the shorts, and everybody wants like, just give me a little 30-second sound bite, and 30 seconds kind of long.
Yep. Basically.
Okay. If you have any questions, you know how to get a hold of us.
Yep.
Whether
That's right.
it be on the phone or I don't know.
Yep. Thanks for letting us do another week with you.